That's right. Played in the league 17 years. He's a champ. He's a defensive player of the year. He's Metta World Peace. And Metta, I got to tell you, I love when we have guys on that spend a little time with Lou Will, because he's a very secretive man. He doesn't like to share too much. So if you could just give us a little bit about Lou. What was it like spending time playing with him?
Man, shout out. Good morning, everybody. And playing with Lou, man, it's been great because I was at the end of my career. I was kind of going through an identity crisis because I wanted to still play, honestly. I'm so competitive. But Lou always kept things in perspective, and he was a leader to the young guys. Lou was like a leader to the older guys and a leader to the young guys. I mean, it was a joy. It was like, kind of built a great relationship. Even though we didn't see each other much after, I went back to school, did a bunch of other things. But, Lou definitely stands out for sure. Hopefully that wasn't too sentimental, Lou.
Yeah, Lou, are you feeling all right?
No, that was perfect, man. Our times playing together was an experience, man. Between us trying to bring the young guys along, farewell tour, and trying to stay competitive at the same time, it was definitely an eye-opening experience, and we built great relationships out of that. My son calls you Uncle Metta. He spends a lot of time around you and your family. Yeah, so we developed great relationships out of that experience.
For sure, man. Awesome. I love seeing little six. I be taking care of him. That's my little dude, man. Every time he come over, a lot of energy. He might be a six man like you, man. He might be a six man of the year.
Yeah. He ain't picked that ball up yet, but I'm giving him some time. So
yeah.
I like that. No pressure. All right, your first stint with the Lakers was with Kobe. You guys won the championship. Can never get enough Kobe stories. What was it like to play with him? Did he make you better? What are your biggest memories?
Man, I love Kobe. R.I.P. Kobe. Kobe is so competitive, honestly. First time I got there, we didn't have much to say. I think he wanted to see. He just told me don't mess it up. He did tell me that. But I've never heard much from Kobe. I mean, I knew the triangle. I learned. I was a math major too, so the concepts made sense. So I caught on to the triangle like right away. And then other than that, my work ethic was probably second to none. Maybe Kobe's was probably up there. So other than that, we just talked about the game. We never really went out, never had lunch, none of that stuff, no dinner. But on that court, we was synced. The second year after that was kind of tough. But Kobe overall, seeing him in the gym at 5:30, we heard these stories, 5:30 a.m., working on that jab step, working on that pivot, all that type of stuff. That's Kobe.
Metta, you spend those 4 years with the Lakers, you win a championship, then you go on to the Knicks, and then you come back to the Lakers for a couple of seasons. What was different when you saw Kobe the second go around? What was different with him those 2 years than compared to the first four?
He was way more fun. Like I was towards the end of my career. I had a little knee injury at the end, and then Kobe was just trying to finish out his career. But he was way more fun. The second time he was talking to rookies, laughing a little bit. And, my first stint with the Lakers, that wasn't so. He was just really, really serious all the time. But it was good to see. It was good to see him just kind of let his guard down a little bit, even though he still would compete when he was in the game, as we saw. But I was happy to see that he let his guard down.
Metta, in 2010, you won that championship with the Lakers and hit that huge Game 7 3-ball, assisted by Kobe, actually. What do you remember the most about that shot? How special was that shot?
It was crazy. It just summed up my career. I mean, I got a big ego when it comes to basketball. I think I'm better than what I am, but I needed that bad. Like, I needed that championship to fill my ego, because honestly, I don't know if I would have been able to live with myself without a championship. I got one. It's not enough. And it was kind of surreal that he passed the ball to the right. But, you had to stay ready. I remember that playoffs. I was actually with my therapist. She's from Houston. So I flew her in because you just got to be ready. Some games you're taking 4 shots. Some games you're taking 2 shots in the playoffs. You're never in rhythm. So you just got to play in a rhythm, though. And playing in a rhythm is going to look bad on the stat sheet because you're playing in a team rhythm, but your shots is not falling. You just got to try to do everything, deny, box out, correct passes, sprint back. You got to try to do all these things that don't show up in the stat sheet that you get no credit for. And then on top of that, squaring up, right? Squaring up when the ball comes, let it go, Some days you're gonna look bad, some days you're gonna look good. And that was just like, probably, just summarize my career, getting defensive player early, being an all-NBA team, an all-star early, and then going through the brawl, and then kind of awards going away, all the stuff, all the recognition going away. Even though I was still getting awards at that time, that championship just like, I just couldn't think. I didn't think the basketball gods would ever give me a championship.
We've talked about you playing with Kobe and winning the championship, but throughout the course of your career, you've played against him almost 30 times. What do you remember about those battles?
I remember about him winning 70% of those battles. I got them calculated in my head. I got the first battle in Chicago. I blocked his shot to go into overtime. It was a great block. It was a crazy block. But other than that, he won the rest of the battles. Playing against Kobe was crazy because he wasn't lightning quick, but he was just so mentally tough. So he will wear on you mentally. So those games, I think maybe once or twice I went out the night before, but for the most part, I was never going out the night before playing against Kobe. I was sleeping and getting my rest because if not, you're talking about a 50-piece.
Yeah, you don't want to be on the other
And
side
that was
of
your
that.
matchup.
Yeah, that was my matchup all night.
I love that it's circled, like don't go out the night before that. Okay, Metta, you know what lists do to sports fans and all of us who do this for a living. We love lists. We also love to see who's left off of lists. So you did your top 10 not that long ago, but in the top 5, neither Kobe nor LeBron was on the top 5. Did you get heat for that? And talk to me about who is your top 5?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it does change a lot, but shout out to LeBron. I love LeBron, and Kobe. Obviously, I play with Kobe, and I live in Los Angeles. But I think you got a guy like Wilt. MJ he's number 1. Just to start there. But when you got a guy like Wilt only averaged 13 points his first season. So everybody's saying he played against firemen. Well, those firemen kept him to 13 points and then 20 the next season. Wilt put in so much work where 8 seasons later he averaged 50. And Wilt also played against Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And Kareem played it. You see what I'm saying? So from that perspective, Wilt blocked a lot of Kareem shots. And we put Kareem as number 1 sometimes. So you can't forget about the dead. Wilt was a dominant force. And then Bill Russell with those 11 championships, even though he wasn't scoring a lot, but he also averaged 22 rebounds along with Wilt. I think that's number 1. You know what I'm saying? So from that perspective, you can't just bypass Bill Russell, and then you have a couple others. I forget who else I had up in there.
Magic.
Oh yeah, people sleep on Magic, and Magic he's older. He's a politician. He don't give himself a lot of credit, But Magic is a sleeper. Magic. You look at Magic's stat line, his awards. He was the man on that team. Without Magic, they don't get over the hump. And those 5 rings is with the Lakers, so you got to give him some credit. And then I don't think people give Shaq enough credit. I got Shaq at 10 somewhere over there. Shaq is arguably top 5, but I think Shaq got bored with the game. Shaq stopped working hard, and that's why people passed him. Because Shaq just, he got bored. It was too easy. The same thing with Michael Jordan. Will Chamberlain, you got to think about what he did. He said, I'm going to set records so nobody could ever pass it. That was when the league first started. So he was already seeing the future. And I think Michael Jordan just got bored, but LeBron is doing what Wilt did. So LeBron, when he retires and it's all said and done, we got to give him his flowers. There's no way he's not number 1. He put in the work. He's a great man off the court. I'm not saying others are not, but I'm saying to be with the same family, that is really difficult, along with being one of the greatest players ever. So I think when LeBron retires, I'm going to give him the nod.
Metta, is it true that you cracked 2 of MJ's ribs in a game of one-on-one? How did that happen? What happened? Take us through it.
What?
Man, actually, I didn't release that story. That story was released by my good friend Sam Smith from the Chicago Tribune. I'm not going to snitch on Michael Jordan, but that story came out. I was 19 or 20 years old. And I was super competitive. People didn't really know what I was bringing when I was 19. So we was in this gym with LeBron was there, a young 15-year-old LeBron, Antoine Walker, Finley, Jordan, and a bunch of other people. And my defense I had a lot of energy. I didn't really get tired, and I was super strong coming in. So Michael was just posting me up, and he had referees and everything. So he was posting me up on the left block. And as I was denying him, Michael put his arms and hold you. When Michael holds you, you can't get around. And one of the issues with Mike is if you let him touch the ball, he's gonna score. So in those games were super competitive. So as I was denying, I moved his arm out the way. And then the ref called an offensive foul. And so he actually got called for offensive foul, but then I hit him by mistake with my right elbow went into his ribs. And, and then when I found out I broke his ribs, I was in the bed for like 2 days. I didn't go to practice, to our summer practice. I was sick. I couldn't even get out the bed. My agent called me and said, Metta, you got to go to practice. I said, I broke Michael Jordan's ribs. I think I can't even function right now. And then Mike called me.
Man.
And then Mike called me. Mike was like, hey, man, it's all right. That happens. I want you to keep coming back to the gym. I was like, sorry, Mike. Oh, that's crazy. Mike hit me up. Then I went back to practice, summer practice.
Would you say MJ is probably one of the toughest players for you to guard?
Yo, Mike is definitely the toughest. He's not as fast as LeBron, don't jump as high, not as strong. LeBron brings something different. And then Kobe also brings something different, very similar to Mike. But Mike is strong, efficient. It ain't like you're gonna contest his shot. He gonna be on balance, good space. Definitely the toughest dude I played against, for sure.
Who would you think to be a toughest guard for you right now in today's game?
I look at it a lot. Oh man, I just stopped being competitive maybe 2 years ago, man. I couldn't sleep with myself. Man, I just stopped thinking about the game like that. But I looked at some guys' career as it went on and on, because you can't tell the first day you see a guy the first year, or even their first entrance into being a star. So you got to give it years to see wow, I think I'm not gonna put no names on it. Honestly, I'm not gonna put no names on it.
Fair.
But there's definitely a few guys I feel like I would have for sure shut down, and then there's definitely a few guys I'm like, ooh, maybe I don't have a chance. Like Kobe, don't really have LeBron. You don't really have a shot.
Trying to get it.
You also played with one of my favorite players, Tracy McGrady, and he was so cold. And I feel like people don't talk about him enough as a one-on-one scorer, just a scorer in general. What was it like playing with him? Was he one of the hardest matchups in practice or guarding him? Because, man, I was obsessed with T-Mac growing up. T-Mac was he was hurt when I got to Houston, but that first training camp was incredible because the pieces we had was incredible. People forget about Dikembe Mutombo. Dikembe would average 10 and 10 when he got into the game. Right? Dikembe was playing incredibly before he broke his knee in the playoffs. I was playing only 8 minutes a game before T-Mac got hurt. Then I started playing and kind of showed what I could do. But that team was stacked. T-Mac got hurt, I think, 25 games in. So then, but when I was playing with him, to watch him play and it was pretty impressive. He could pass the ball. He could score the ball. He's such an unselfish player. He's just so gifted offensively. But definitely one of my favorite players. Definitely.
All right, Metta, we got to talk Draymond Green for a second. Obviously suspended indefinitely. The Nurkic hit was the final straw seemingly there. And part of his suspension is he's got to go through some counseling. We all know your past. You've been very outspoken about everything that you've been through and what you've done to sort of better yourself. Do you reach out to a guy like Draymond? Would you give him advice? Are you comfortable doing that?
I mean, definitely, I think Draymond's an elite winner. And I think that just, I want that to be highlighted. You don't want the, this part to be highlighted. I definitely always reach out. Anytime I see a guy getting into trouble, I don't always get a response. I used to, but, I'm always there for any player going through anything. That's for the open line for any player. Even though I do have my own agencies, but I'm not trying to steal any players. But I just want to see players do well. I want to see players do well. I think Draymond's going through a little bit, right? Because you're not as good as you used to be. You're not young. You're not as young as you used to be. You're not as good as you used to be. But you're still competitive, and it got to be a little give and take. So I think he needs to take off that competitiveness a little bit and just have some fun, ride it out. I was super competitive my last year, but actually my last it's the season before my last year, but then I started to talk more to rookies. Growing up in the 90s and stuff like that, you just don't have friends. You don't have friends on the court. And I think, like, if Draymond doesn't take his foot off the gas a little bit, I think, those friendships he could make and those people he could help. There's young players out there right now that's probably like another young Draymond, right? But Draymond's so competitive, he don't see it like that. He just see food, So from that perspective, I just hope he takes his foot off the gas a little bit. His legacy is cemented already. There's nothing else for him to prove. He's a winner. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame, right? So there's nothing else for him to prove but to go out there, have fun, and hopefully, he can take that into consideration.
Metta is one of the best perimeter defenders ever. Who do you think is the best defender in the game today?
Right now, I like that kid, Max, from Philly, because he's doing it on both ends. He's super unique. Obviously, before Kawhi's injury, I like Kawhi. Obviously, Rudy's just walking away with a bunch of Defensive Player of the Years. I got a little sour taste in my mouth when I see so many people walk away with multiple because I shot myself in the foot. I should have had 2 or 3 of them, but I'm just getting suspended, all this other nonsense. But Rudy's like walking away with it. But in terms of just like, on the ball, guarding, I got to go with that kid, Max, because he's doing it on both ends. That's pretty hard.
Are we talking about Maxey?
Yeah.
Tyrese Maxey?
Yeah,
All right. All right. I like that.
He's pretty. Yeah, he can score and can lock up. That's pretty
high praise.
Yeah.
All right. That's very high praise. I like the praise part of things because you talked a little Victor Wembanyama. Obviously, I'm a huge Spurs fan, and that was a big moment for all of us. And you said he could average 40 at some point. You still seeing that, or what is it that you see in him? I mean, just take away the size. We all see that. But what else?
Yeah. He's the closest to Wilt that we'll ever see. You got to remember, Wilt averaged 13 points his first year, and 20 plus rebounds. But I think this kid gonna beef up. He gonna get better, and he gonna run into like a Detroit Pistons from this year, or the Clippers from 20 years ago. And he gonna go get 101 at some point in time in the next 7 years. He gonna get 101. He's gonna for sure catch a rhythm where some rookie that can't guard, don't know how to deny, can't backdoor, making a ton of mistakes, and boom, 101 piece, averaging 40. I think you're gonna see it from this kid.
All right, there's a banner race for that. I don't want to hear any argument. If you get 101, you get a banner.
Absolutely. Yeah, it should be. I think he's gonna be, even though Chet having a better year, but he's on a way better team.
Yeah.
So I think this kid is gonna be special, especially when he beef up. Remember Giannis? Skinny. I didn't even know Giannis was his rookie year. I didn't know this kid was. He's just some string being running out there. Now he's like a force. I think I think Wembanyama is gonna be like that.
Metta, you also gave really high praise to Jalen Brunson, saying he could be a top 7, I think, Knicks player of all time. What have you seen from him just to kind of to justify that and to see so much in him?
Well, he's young. He's putting up numbers at a fast pace. And then also, I think in the Garden, it's hard to play in the Garden, as we know. The rim shrinks in the Garden. For him, it seems like it's wide open. Like, he's super confident, not worried about the fans, not worried about the fair weather Knicks fans. We are all bandwagon fans in New York, all of us. This kid seems very comfortable in the Lions Den. So you got to imagine he's going to do this for a couple more years. And I got to imagine that other free agents see this and they're like, okay, I want to come play with him because the leader looks very comfortable. Obviously, Julius Randle's really playing well in the Garden also. It's not easy to play well in the Garden, and for somebody to play well, he's playing, what point guard played better than him? How many point guards? Not many, maybe Mark at some point in time. So I think this kid is they'll for sure be in the playoffs. Championship, we'll see. But they'll for sure be in the playoffs. They'll get past the first round at some point. They might make the Western Conference Finals. And at that point, it's all about, the players you have on the team. The coaching is pretty solid. So I think he's going to walk away with, at the end of his career, if he stays a Knick, and just keep working hard, stay in shape, don't get out of shape, stay in shape, and just finish her career strong. You can see him being a top Knick, all-time Knick.
Knicks fans everywhere are very happy. Metta, before we let you go, you were on The Masked Singer, a show that just perplexes me, honestly. You were the cuddle monster. How does that come about? I didn't know. You could sing? How's that even happen? I cannot
Yeah, Lou told me how to sing. You know, Lou got bars. It was fun. I try to stay off TV, honestly. But, you know, I'm always getting called to do TV. And then I told my wife, I don't feel like doing this one. And then my friends, they said, dude, it's going to be fun. Then my daughter was like, you got to do it. It's going to be fun. I said, all right, cool. Yeah, I'll do it. And then when I got there, I had way more fun. I mean, I do like to have fun. I do like to entertain. But nowadays, I'm just not interested in anything television. But that show was fun. It's the only time you get a chance to sing like you're in the shower. With you know how that go. You're in the shower, you start singing, you think you Luther Vandross.
We all sound good.
Everybody sound good in the shower. They put a little auto-tune on my voice. I was like, all right, we good.
God, that's awesome. Yeah, that would be a fun one. I'd like to see everyone do. Metta, I know you just said you don't want to do TV, but we appreciate you doing it this morning.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
Hopefully you'll come on again. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Lou. My dude.
My brother.
Chandler, good to see you, Shams. Good to see you. Yeah, and y'all have a great season.
All right, thank you, sir. We'll be back with That Man How's the Family after this.
Run it up, run it back, yeah. Run it up, run it back, yeah. Run it up, run it back, run it up, run it back, run it up.